Right, we're joined by two special panelists to discuss the significance of the Voice of the Global South Summit, which will be hosted by India tomorrow in a virtual format. Thank you very much, both of you gentlemen, for joining us. Professor Swain, to begin with, your opening remarks, especially the timings of the summit from the conflict perspective, what is happening in Israel, Hamas, Russia, Ukraine, and this being seen as a continuation of the discussions under the India's G20 presidency that took place in September this year. Professor
Thank you, Sakal. I think first of all, it is important to underline India is doing something unusual, holding two summit meetings of Global South in the same year, and also holding two summit meetings of the G20 in the same year. And of course, as you mentioned, currently the issue of Israel-Hamas conflict is globally high in consciousness. So just like in the first the Voice of Global South Summit meeting, Ukraine was an important issue for discussion. I believe that in this as well, the Israel-Hamas issue will be for debate. But of course, India will try to make sure that it stays on course and the focus remains on issues of development and global governance, which is where India has constantly tried to bring Global South, which in 1950s used to be a pejorative term, and it stayed on the margins of global decision making. India's effort has been in bridge building between G20, which was originally G7, the high ivory tower elite, with the Global South, and this effort to bring them closer together to develop holistic approach to global governance. I think that will be an effort of India to keep the focus on that, but definitely issue of Israel-Hamas war will be also in debate.
Professor Swain, your thoughts: extreme weather patterns due to climate change and rising socio-economic challenges, and disproportionately which hinder the growth of the developing and underdeveloped worlds. The kind of issues that India is going to spearhead in the summit, in the second edition of the summit.
Two things. One, that issue of climate crisis is perhaps the most quintessential issue that requires a global approach. On several international challenges, approach of G7 has not really delivered, and the whole effort India is making is to bring Global South into decision making so that approach becomes holistic and therefore we can see some results. Second, India has already demonstrated its leadership in leading both International Solar Alliance and during the G20 summit meeting, the coalition of biofuel was also launched by India. In that sense, by demonstrating things that India has already done on the ground, achieved, particularly International Solar Alliance is such a large alliance. Now, India is trying to make sure that both the issues that are priority issues of Global South, as also perspective and strategies that Global South has always thought of, are brought into the global decision making. And that is why I think this 22nd meeting of 22nd November meeting of the G20 is preceded by this Global South Summit tomorrow, so that again India is able to carry forward that message of Global South to the high table of G20 meetings, so that decisions made in G20 summit meeting are able to be actually implemented on the ground by taking everybody along. And I think bringing African Union on board was an excellent demonstration of India bringing Global South into global decision making.
And the lot that, especially the challenges bit.
Yeah, sure. I think, Sakal, what gives me confidence that India's effort to bring Global South to the center stage of G20 and global governance is the fact that now coming summit meetings of the coming presidencies of G20 are going to continuously be with the Global South countries. India, followed by Brazil, followed by South Africa, which are also IBSA, if you remember, triangular relationship that India has had. So the fact that Global South is being brought to center stage and the leadership of G20 will continuously be with Global South means that India's imprint in bringing Global South to the center stage of global governance will bear fruit in the coming times and will be enduring in that sense of transforming the nature of of G20 summit meetings.
All right, we'll leave it there. Many thanks, Professor Swaran Singh from School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University.